Now, how can we demonstrate to you that this indeed, using logic and reason, is the case with banks? Okay, well, let's say, for example, you think you want a bank loan. Sure. A lot of people think they want bank loans. Okay. Well, you go back into the bank. You don't realize you're as an employee. And in fact, you don't want a loan. You want a mortgage. You found the property and you think, well, the only way I can get my hands on this property, or the only way I can get to use it, is to get a mortgage, right? A death grip. That's what mortgage means. Isn't that nice? Doesn't that make you all warm and fuzzy inside? A death grip. That's what mortgage means. So they tell me. So you go in and get yourself a death grip. But you see, in the bank, your employee status doesn't actually quite go that high. You're a very low-level employee. You don't have managerial function. And to create a loan account, that requires somebody with more oomph, if you will, more responsibility within the corporate structure. Not necessarily their corporate structure, but remember, they hire out some of these functions to other corporates and other corporate structures, kind of like, in fact, exactly like solicitors' companies, etc., etc. And so many people I've spoken to will tell you this is the case. They put the document, piece of paper, whatever you want to call it, down on the table and they say, here you go, sign here, X, and here, X. They put the X's down on the document. Anybody with a mortgage, think back to when it came to the time where they wanted you to sign. Did they go XXX? Usually where it says the word signature. I mean, unless they think they're giving a 200,000 or 300,000 euro mortgage to an absolute, excuse my French, flippin' moron. I almost used French, I should say. Unless they think they're giving it to an absolute moron who can't read the word signature, that he requires an X on the document before he signs. Well, if that's the case, then clearly they must be giving it to somebody of diminished capacity, or at least that they believe it's somebody of diminished capacity. If they believe you're of diminished capacity, intellectually that is, well, how can they call that a lawful contract? Doesn't add up, right? Logic and reason, again, doesn't add up. So, who signed and how did they sign? Well, if they sign first, and they do, with the X, you can sign with an X. There's a YouTube clip. You'll very clearly hear a man in a police station being told, oh, just put an X there. An X will do. We'll take that as a signature, and they will. They'll take it as a signature, as a sign of nature. Too damn right they will, because it is. Because you must press the pen to the paper. You must make the mark. You must. And once you make that mark, you are letting them know that you are in agreement. You have an accord. A contract has just been formed. So when they make the mark on the paper, ask yourself, are they not doing the same thing? They might think they're, I don't know, I mean, I've yet to find a solicitor who can explain to me exactly why they've put those marks on the paper. Even people in the bank don't seem to know exactly why, but they all do it. They've all been told to do it. You see, the truth is, I think they don't even explain to them what they're doing. They just say, oh, it's common practice. Standard procedure. You know yourself. Look, just do it, okay? You don't have to be told everything, right? Your job says you put the flippin' X there before they sign. Okay. And employee just goes, well, what the hell do I care? I'm getting a bonus here. I'm getting paid out of this. Sure, I'll put the X down. But usually that's somebody who's legally trained, usually up to 7 or 8 years, and usually, they know a thing or two about a thing or two. Law and legality, and let's face it, most of the time we haven't a flippin' breeze when it comes to this class of stuff. We haven't a clue. And yet they still get you to sign a legal document. And they know you're not legally trained. Now you might be thinking, but I brought my solicitor in there to represent me and to protect me. Really? Then why did he let you sign it? Why would your solicitor instruct you or allow you to sign something that's going to cause you harm or loss? They're not supposed to do that, right? Now maybe they might say, well, we didn't understand the economic system. That's bull for a start. Oh, they understood. They know. They all know, folks. They mightn't fully realize it, but deep down they know. A child can work it out in 2 minutes. It's simple. It works like this. The banks lend money to your entire nation at interest. Your entire nation tries to pay back this money at interest. So if they lent you 100 million, you can't possibly ever pay them back 110 million because they only gave you 100 million. Now you can go and try and do trade with other countries to try and get 10 million from them. And that might be possible, and you might be able to pay it back 1 year maybe. But now the country you were trading with that you've managed to do for 10 million, they now owe too much. They're now in a worse position than you. And we call this competition, you see. We say, oh, it's competitive. You better believe it's competitive. Because it's dog eat dog. Business is war, folks. It's war. And there will only be one surviving. That's what happens. Big corporations gobble up little corporations. But you can step out. They don't tell you this. You can step out at any time. You can opt out of any contract at any time you wish. Once you do so correctly. So, for example, if you were cutting my grass, let's say I hired you to cut the grass in my garden every year, I don't know, 6 times during the summer or whatever. And you've been relying on this. And 1 year I think, well, things are a bit tight. I'm going to cut my own grass. And I said to you, it's okay, yeah, I'm going to cut my own grass from now on, thanks. Can you sue me? Well, perhaps you might try and engage a court case, but would you expect to win? You know, well, it's his grass and he can't afford to pay me, so he's no option. Well, he's going to go and cut it himself. You opt out of the contract. Cheerio. Bye. Thank you, but no thank you. It's real simple. I'm just going to go and have a look at some of the comments. Some comments have been popping up there in the chat box there. I'm just going to have a look at some of them. Okay. Well, there you go. Okay. Right. Some references to the TV series The Prisoner. So, as Alan put up there, for example, number 2 says, why did you resign? Prisoner. I don't accept. I didn't accept. Why did you accept? Number 2, you resigned. Prisoner, I rejected. Number 2, you accepted before you resigned. The prisoner, I rejected. Number 2, who? The prisoner, you. You see, in The Prisoner, they want to know why he resigned, why he took the signature off the document. They were having great fun with his signature on the document. They were really enjoying his using his skills. He took his skills away from them, and they were angry and upset, and they wanted to know why. So they took him, and they held him in the village. And they never told him where he was, just the village. But there's a reason they didn't tell him where he was. Specifically, they couldn't give a title, because then he would have something to act on. So they stuck with the village. That whole series is very interesting. So, okay, let's say you resign from your position at the bank, or you resign from your position at Tesco's, and they still try to pull you. They've already told the the administrative process for wayward employees about you. But you've already resigned, and the administration process for wayward employees in Tesco that they've now rented out to, known as the court service, they come and get you. In fact, they hire another agency, known as Garda Síochána, to come and physically grab a hold of you and pull you in there. What's the first thing they do? They say, name. What's your name? What they're saying, they may not realize it, they're saying, what's your employee status? What's your designation? What's your number? What are you? Not who are you. They say, what is your name? Not who are you. They don't say, who are you, right? Because they're contracted upstairs to the courts department as far as they're concerned, and the courts department have contracted sideways, if you will, with Tesco's. But you've resigned. You don't work for Tesco's no more. But if you go in there and you say, yeah, okay, I'm still a Tesco employee, if you give them your Tesco's identity number, well, as far as they're concerned, you must have changed your mind, right? You must have changed your mind about resigning. It's okay, everybody. He hasn't resigned. We can now put him through the administrative process that Tesco's have hired us to do. That's okay. We all get paid. Lovely. But how do you pay? Well, they know you have nothing. So what they do is they take pity on you. And, recall, they do say they interview you, right? They bring you for an interview. The Garda Síochána, for example, interview you. The corporate aspect of them. They bring you for a job interview. They don't tell you it's a job interview. They got a new job for you. Full accommodation, 3 square meals a day. Secure location. They'll even give you work. Hell, they'll even pay you. Meet lots of new friends. Develop intimate relations. You mightn't like some of them, but they might develop. But you'll be safe as houses. You won't get run over by a bus, right? They're protecting you. Why? Because of the insurance policy associated with the PPS number. Because that's where they get paid from. And when they send in all these liability orders, all these bills that they have to pay to hold you in that position, well, they send them up to the top of the pile. The top of the pile are the people who go to the foreign banks with the numbers, the people incarcerated, the people employed, and they say, look, we need to borrow money to pay for all this. Will you give it to us? And the banks, of course, say, certainly. Absolutely. Why? Because you know what? There's 4.5 million of them still left there. Maybe there's 4.25 million of them not in jail yet that we're not looking after. And we'll make the others pay the bill. How are we going to do that? Well, we'll tax them. How are we going to do that? Well, what we do is we borrow this money for them to give them benefits, at interest, of course, and then they'll pay that money that we eventually trickle down to them back to us in the form of taxes, and then, well, then there won't be enough to go around next year, right? Sure. Well, what's your solution? Don't worry. We'll just borrow more money, and the bank will give it to us. Won't you, bank? And what did the bank say? Yeah, of course we will. We won't hang you out to dry. We made a deal with you that we'd finance you. So we will finance you. But we want all your fish. Oh, okay. Oh, and we want all your forests. Oh, okay. Oh, and, yeah, we want all your oil and gas. Oh, wow, okay. Wow, this is getting tight. I'm running out of things here to give you. Don't worry. No, we'll still finance you. I mean, you don't want the system to collapse, right? Hell no. The government's going to say, no, we don't want the system to collapse. Hey, why don't we print our own money? The whisper goes around in government circles. You crazy? Don't ever suggest that again. Remember what happened to JFK. Oh,